Thank you. I now recognize the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Palmer, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the witnesses for being here. Mr. Mills, good to see you this morning. What are your estimates for power generation demands over the next decade? Any idea of what those demands will be?
The total generation demand increases from growth?
Right.
Well, there are probably...
Well, let me restate it.
Yes, sir.
We're in an arms race with China for artificial intelligence and quantum computing. Yeah. What amount of power generation, in addition to what we have now, will we need?
Well, the FERC is reporting an increase between 60 and 130 gigawatts more demand by 2030 than they thought was going to happen.
That's in 5 years.
And yeah, but they thought 2 years ago. And that's not just from data centers, it's also from bringing manufacturing back and electrification of other parts of the industry.
What do you consider a greater threat to our future national security, losing the AI arms race to China or climate change?
Well, I, as you probably know, I'm on the record of putting the economy and strategic concerns as number one, because not only from my perspective, but as we see from public opinion polls, that most people would put the economy and national security first.
If we lose the arms race in artificial intelligence, quantum computing to China, they will be the superpower, not a superpower. One of the things that I think we need to be taking a look at, in addition to the power generation, is our dependence on China for critical minerals and rare earth elements. I pointed out multiple times in these hearings that there's not a single major refinery for rare earth elements in the Western Hemisphere. There's only 9 in the world, 8 are in China, and the other one's in Malaysia. I think that's got to be a top priority. I mean, we're talking about AI here. We're not going to do anything in that specter if China cuts us off from rare earth elements and critical minerals. But we've also got to meet these demands for increased power. And one of the things that I suggested this morning in another meeting is there's over 100 coal-fired power plants and natural gas plants that have been shut in the United States. If we started today trying to build new power generation facilities, we don't have the manufacturing capacity to produce the turbines that we need to generate, to meet that new demand. But we've got existing turbines in many of these facilities and transmission lines already in place. So I'd like your thoughts on us utilizing small modular reactors at these facilities. They're not as site sensitive as other, for instance, you could get 600 megawatts from 2 small modular reactors at an existing facility where it would take 77,000 acres to get it from a turbine farm. And that turbine farm, basically, turbines would have to be replaced in 25 to 30 years. You'd get 40 to 60 years generation from an SMR. What do you think about that?
Well, Congressman, I'm delighted that the tech community in the United States and Congress are enthusiastic about nuclear power again. But the reality is that you can't buy a small modular reactor. They don't exist yet. We have to build them at scale, and that will take years. Similarly, it'll take
actually, that GE Hitachi model, we think, can be built in 2 to 3 years.
Oh, look, you can construct that scale of reactor. This is the 300 megawatt class reactor. It's a little bit of a euphemism to think of 300 megawatts as, quote, small. These are very big power plants. We can certainly build them quickly. They are possible. The regulatory barriers here are still significant, but you're talking a decade before we have the infrastructure to build them. Similarly, we can build the infrastructure to make the critical minerals and rare earth mineral refineries here, but that will also take a decade. And meanwhile, as you know, 90% of the refined critical minerals to build windmills and solar panels are in China on coal-fired grids. So it's a problematic trade to buy technology made in China.
My point is that I think, having worked for 2 international engineering companies and having a little bit of understanding about what it takes, and I've told people this, you can open a mine here, but it'll be 3 to 5 years before you start getting aggregate out. Same, take 3 years minimum to build a processor or refining facility, notwithstanding how long it takes to get the permitting. If you permitted it on day one, it'll still take that long.
Right.
But if we can build small modular reactors at scale, you're going to have some lower costs because you can basically build standardized designs. You can build advanced reactors that can use spent fuel. We could fuel a fleet of nuclear reactors for over 100 years. If you, though, use them at these shuttered hydrocarbon plants, natural gas and coal, wouldn't it be interesting that China's building coal-fired plants to power their AI expansion, that we could then use nuclear on shuttered hydrocarbon plants with no emissions to power ours? And I honestly believe that this is something that ought to be a top priority for this administration, a top priority for this Congress, to get these SMRs in place and get them in these places where we already have the turbines and already have the transmission lines.
Count my vote enthusiastically on that strategy, Congressman.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. I thank the chairman. I yield back.